One of the concepts circling my mind a lot lately is the difference between being needed and being wanted, because they can look or even feel very similar, but I don't think they are the same thing. And I wonder how many women have spent years becoming so useful, so reliable, so capable, so necessary to everybody around them, that somewhere along the way, being needed became one of the main ways they knew they mattered. And then one day people need less of them. That's life. People move on. The children grow up. A partner starts to acting differently. A team learns to cope without them. Someone else starts taking responsibility. And instead of feeling relieved, you feel hurt. So today I want to ask you a question. Who are you when nobody needs you? Welcome to Love Without Losing Yourself. This is the Return Project. Every week we look at one behavior that can quietly take us away from ourselves or help us find our way back. And I don't want us to rush into fixing the behavior. I want us to understand it first. What was it doing for us? What did it give us? What was it protecting? And what happens when something that once worked for us starts costing us more than we realize? Today, I want to come back to something I've written and spoken many, many times before, the useful woman contract. And I think this is one that goes much deeper than simply doing too much. Because the problem is not being useful. I like being useful. I like being capable. I like helping. I like being someone that people can come to me and know I will help them. I don't want to turn those qualities into something unhealthy just because they can sometimes become unhealthy. That's not the point that I want to make here. The point is what happens when being useful becomes connected to your sense of value, your sense of worth. When part of you starts believing, if I am useful, I matter. If I am needed, I belong. If I make your life easier, I have a secure place in it. And I think this can happen by living a normal life. Your love for the other person, your willingness to support, help, give them space to grow by taking on your plate a lot. Slowly, it can create a label. It can create an identity, a role. People relying on you, and in many ways feels good. Let's be honest about that. Because being needed can feel good. There is appreciation in it. There is importance. There is certainty. You know your role. You know why you matter in that moment. And I think this is where the useful woman contract can become difficult to see, because it is rewarded. In many cultures, it is taught. It's ingrained for very young age. People tell you how capable you are, how strong you are, how they don't know what they will do without you. And part of you loves hearing that. Who wouldn't? Even if another part of you is completely exhausted. That contradiction is interesting. You can be tired of everybody needing you and still be unsettled when they stop. And both can be true. You can think, I wish everybody will stop asking me for things. And then when at some point nobody asks, you start wondering what's going on. Because lack of confirmation, my friends, can be painful, especially if you made it mean I matter when I do all these things. And when it stops, you need another way to feel that. This is where I think we need to separate two things. The one is being needed, and the second one is being wanted. I think many of us have become very good at making ourselves needed, including myself. I'm speaking from experience here. We know how to be useful. We know how to contribute. We know how to help. We know how to make life easier for other people. But being wanted is different. Being wanted is, I enjoy you. I choose you. I want your company. I want to hear what you think. I want you to hear with me, even when you're doing absolutely nothing for me. There is no task in that. There is no function. There is no exchange. And I think that can feel much more vulnerable, because if I make myself useful, I know what I am bringing in. I know why you might keep me close. But if I am simply myself, then I have to trust that I am enough to be enjoyed, loved, chosen, wanted. And insecurity kicks in. And this is where I think it's so hard for many women than we are willing to admit, because usefulness gives us some control. We are the ones that solve problems. We know that I can take care of the other person. We know that we matter because we can be essential. We know that when people need us, we have a place to belong. And again, I don't think we consciously think like this. I don't think women are walking around thinking and saying, I am going to make myself necessary so people can't leave me. No, we don't do it consciously. But behavior does not have to be conscious to make sense. And this is one of the things I want us to keep looking at through the Return Project. What does the behavior give you? Not what does it cost you first. What does it give you? Because if we don't understand that, we will keep trying to change behaviors without understanding why we keep going back to them. And this is very important. So, what does being needed give you? Maybe it gives you reassurance. Maybe it gives you importance or belonging. Maybe it gives you belonging. Maybe it gives you identity. Maybe it gives you something to focus on so you don't have to ask yourself harder questions. It's an avoidance technique. What do I want is the question. What do I enjoy? What do I need? Who am I outside the roles I perform? These questions are very important, and they are specifically important at certain stages of a woman's life, especially when children grow. And they should, of course, they should. And we raise them to need us less. But nobody really talks enough about what that can bring up in the mother. Not just missing the little child, something else. If so much of your identity became tied to caring for them, what happens when they don't need that care in the same way? Or at work. Think about work. You train people. You develop them. You make sure everything runs as it should. And eventually, they stop coming to you for every answer, which, if you think about it, is exactly what good leadership is supposed to create. And still, there is part of you, that brain of yours, may make you feel strangely irrelevant. Or let's talk about in a relationship. You do everything, you support, you anticipate, you make things easier, you become his rock, the person that he can rely on. And perhaps you start believing that all of this is part of why you are loved, why he loves you, why he adores you, why he's with you. And comes a point that you may realize something painful. A person can need everything you do and still not be giving you the feeling of being wanted. And that is a very different experience. And I think sometimes women confuse the two because for years, the need itself felt, make you believe like you had a proof. It gave you a proof. They need me, so I matter. He depends on me, so I must be important. But what we may actually be longing for is not, please need me more. It is, want me, want my company. Not company, want my company, want my presence, want my mind, want my energy, want to be around me when I am not solving anything, want me when I am not useful. And I think this is where the useful woman can become deeply lonely, because she can be surrounded by people who need her all day long and still not feel seen, still not feel chosen, still not feel known. That's a very particular kind of loneliness. And I think many of us will understand exactly what I mean. Everybody comes to you, relies on you, knows you will show up, but sometimes you wonder and you crave and you are thinking, what if I stop doing all this? Would anybody still come looking for me? Would they miss me? Not what I do, but me, the person, the woman. That's a very important question, because maybe for a long time we have been building relationships around usefulness instead of allowing ourselves to find out whether we can be loved without constantly proving our worth. And I want to be careful here, because what I'm saying is not relationships should be effortless. I'm not saying we should contribute nothing. Love is not passive. Care matters. Contribution matters. Reliability matters. The problem is when those things become the price you believe you have to pay for your place. That is the useful woman contract. I contribute, therefore I matter. I help, therefore I belong. I am needed, therefore I am safe. And the return project asks this question instead: is that contract still serving me? Because maybe the return is not learning to become less useful. Maybe the return is learning that usefulness is one part of you, of who you are, not your proof of worth, not your identity, not your insurance policy against rejection. One part of you. And I think the uncomfortable test is what happens when you are not doing anything for anyone. Can you sit there without immediately finding a job? Can you let someone else solve the problem? Can you let your children struggle with something they are capable of working out? Can you let someone help you without taking over? Can you spend time with somebody without making yourself useful to them? Can you simply be there? And even more importantly, can you allow yourself to be wanted without immediately earning it? That's the part I want you to notice this week. So the return practice this week is not stop helping people. It's something else, something simpler. I want you to notice one moment when you are about to make yourself useful without being asked. And before that automated response, stepping in, take a moment to think this question. Do they need me to do this? I wonder what will happen in me if I don't. And maybe when you ask this question and you think it, maybe nothing happens. Or maybe you feel relief or guilt. Or maybe you notice that you start feeling anxious. And maybe you may start feeling irrelevant. And maybe you have this need, this urgency to jump back in immediately. I want you to notice the behavior that comes up. And we are not going to change and trying to change the behavior every time. But I am aiming for you to understand it. And I want you to try, once you understand what's going on, once you realize what's going on, I want you to try one other thing. Spend a little time this week with someone you care about without doing anything for them. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Just be with them, be present, and notice how that feels. Maybe we need to practice experiencing connection without earning our place in it. And the journal question I want to leave you with is this. Do I know what it feels like to be wanted, not just needed? That's a very serious question, if you ask me. And you might become aware something heavy, something that it doesn't make you feel right, that is awkward, that it's painful. I want you to stay there. Stay with that feeling. What will being wanted actually look like to you? How will you know? And are you allowing people to know the woman they could want? Or are you allowing them only to get to know the woman they can rely on? It is a hard question. And very important hard question. Stay with it. Be honest with it. Journal around it. Feel the emotions that come up. Allow the emotions to come up. This is what I had for you today. So if this conversation feels familiar, you will probably recognize parts of yourself in Close Out. The book looks at many of the roles women learn to occupy and the unspoken contracts we start living without even consciously deciding whether we agree with them or not. You will find it in the show notes if you want to continue there. And this week, I want you to notice the moments when people need you and the moments when people simply want you there. See if they feel different. And if nobody needs you for an hour, please don't rush to make yourself necessary. Stay. See who you are without the task. Recognize yourself. Because maybe the question was never only, who am I when nobody needs me? Maybe it is, can I believe I still matter when nobody does? The woman you're looking for is still there. I will meet you next time. Much love.